I want to thank all of you 6th grade math teachers for coming on our lesson on backward design today, and we're going to keep the tagline starting with the end in mind. So what is backward design? I have a clip here for us to watch on what backward design looks like.
Imagine this.
A group of friends decide to organise a day out. Katie is excited because she thinks a day at the folk festival would be perfect. Sam is excited because he sees everyone heading out of town for a long, peaceful bushwalk. And Sue is excited because she imagines the group visiting the snowfields and having their first ever ski lesson. The group arranges a meeting time, a place, then get busy with their own lives. On the appointed day, the three friends meet, pile into the car and set off. As time passes, Sam becomes grumpy because the group keeps driving past all of the exits to the best bushwalks. He wonders why he has his hiking boots on. A bit later, Sue becomes grumpy because Katie has turned off the highway away from the snowfields, and Sue is regretting putting her thermals on this morning. She wonders why she has been working so hard on her quads at the gym. An hour later, Katie pulls the car over and lets her friends know that she is lost. By the end of the day, none of the friends have achieved their goal. What if the three friends approach their day out differently? Katie, Sam and Sue get together to chat about what they would like to do. They decide on a common outcome for the day, plan what each will need to do to get ready, and what the group will do together to make sure the day out is a big success. As the weeks go past, the group talks often to make sure everyone is moving towards being able to participate in the day trip. Katie gets used to using contact lenses, while Sam buys a new wetsuit, and Sue speaks about working on her swimming skills. The group also plans what they will need to take, book the surf school, and organise how they will get to the beach. On the nominated day, the three friends meet, pile into the car, and set off. They reach the beach in time for their lesson and have a terrific day together. Backward design is like the second scenario. Teachers start unit planning with the end in mind. They consider the outcomes of a unit of work before mapping out how each individual student, and therefore the entire class, will get there. This way, the learning and teaching in the classroom gives every student the opportunity of reaching the final destination.
Okay, so I want all of you guys just to turn to your tables and talk about how the second situation had a better outcome than the first situation. Okay, now that you all have had time to talk about it, I heard a lot of you guys mentioning how they worked collaboratively, they worked together, the outcome was better because they all got to enjoy it. Well, that's exactly what backward design is. We really want to reach everybody and we really want them to have certain results. Okay, so the backward design has 3 processes. First, we're going to identify the desired result. So what do we want the students to know, or what do we want them to be able to do? Determine assessment evidence. So how am I going to check in on their learning? How am I going to know if they're understanding the concepts each week, or however you're doing it? How am I going to understand that they know what I'm teaching? And then the third one is, what are you going to teach? How are you going to make sure that they get where you want them to be? So what's really the teaching and the art of that? So how can we plan a backward design lesson? The first thing we're going to do is we're going to identify what do we want them to be able to do from whatever TEK that we have chosen. So once we've done that, we're going to determine what assessments are we going to use to see if they've mastered those TEKs that we chose. And then the last step is planning the learning and teaching that's going to occur. So whatever results we want, we need to make sure we're planning and teaching efficiently that it will achieve those results. So I have taken some of your 6th grade math TEKs and I've shown right here a model of backward design. So I took the 6th grade math TEK 2C, locate, compare, and order integers and rational numbers using a number line. So that's a TEK that all of you have. And I'm going to show you how you can plan a backward design lesson. I hope by doing this, it's really going to help you guys later on when you do one, and it's really going to help you see how it's done because this is your grade and you're familiar with these TEKs. So first I'm going to start out with what will students understand. Well, students will understand that numbers are found on a number line and numbers are made up of integer and rational numbers. We need to make sure we're hitting all points of those teaks because as you saw in the teak, it said integers and rational numbers. Students will know. Well, students are going to know that numbers are in numerical order on a number line. Numbers can be compared, ordered, and located using a number line. We need to make sure we have that using a number line sentence in there. All right, so I'm going to start with my essential question. How can you locate, compare, and order integers and rational numbers using a number line? Okay, so that's what I'm going to want my students to know. So that's my first step. I'm getting what my students to know. The objectives, what do I want them to be able to do? I want them to be able to order rational and integer numbers, compare rational and integer numbers, and locate rational and integer numbers. All three of these things make sure that entire teak is covered. That's what I want them to do. I'm identifying what results do I want. Well, that's what I want. I want them to be able to master all three different parts of that teak. And so step 2, I'm going to look at the assessment evidence. How am I going to make sure that they're at the checkpoint or they're at the process and the learning that I want them to be at? Well, at the end, we're going to do a comprehensive test where we compare, locate, and order integers and rational numbers. That'll help me see at the very end who I still need to work with or where do we need to go if need any re-engagement. I want to have them create a video explaining how a number line helps them or can help them order, locate, and compare numbers. Because we saw in the teak, it said about using a number line. Well, this will help them. I also am going to give them a quick check. I'm going to give them some integer and rational numbers and make them put it in order on a number line so I can check in on their learning and their understanding. Step 3 is the learning plan. What are you going to teach or how are you going to teach it in order for my students to get those 3 objectives that I had mentioned earlier? Well, my number line is going to be displayed in the front of the room, and I'm going to start out with one of the basic ones, is locating the numbers. So students are going to come up and locate integer and rational numbers on the number line. Now this can be done as a small group if maybe you only have a few students who can't locate the numbers, or if there's a lot of your students who aren't able to do this, you could do it as a whole group lesson. I start out with this though because locating is the lowest level of balloons and it should be the easiest for the students to do. So I want to start out low and then build them up. The second thing I plan to do is students are going to work in groups of 4 and I'm going to give them numbers. And they're just going to compare the numbers, greater than or less than. Okay, that's all they're going to do on this one, just compare, greater than or less than. They're not going to put on a number line. They're just going to say 2 numbers, which one's greater, which one's less, just so they can get practice with comparing and looking at 2 different given numbers and using that verbiage of greater than or less than, because that'll help them when they're using a number line. The next thing I'm going to do is students are going to work in groups of 3 to order numbers and place them on the number. So this time I'm going to give them 3 or 4 numbers. I'm not just going to give them 2 where they're looking at greater than or less than. I'm going to give them several different numbers. And they're going to have to put them in order. So this where the previous lesson of using greater than or less than will really help them because they have already gotten that verbiage. So they can use, well, this one's greater than this one, so this one needs to be 4th, this one needs to be 3rd, whatever in relation to the different numbers on the number line. So that will really help them see how I'm building it as I'm going. The next one I'll do is all the students will be given a number, either a rational or integer number, and they're going to put themselves in a human number line. So they will work together. There's going to be a lot of conversation, academic conversation going on. You know, I'm greater than you or I'm less than you and trying to put themselves in order. I think it will really help the class work together and help students who might not, still aren't there, and it'll really get a great chance for them to work together to put themselves in order. All right, so now as a table group, you've seen how I did a backward design using your teaks. Well, now I want you guys to do a backward design using a teak I have pulled from your teaks. So the teak is 12A, represent numerical data graphically, including dot plots, stem and leaf plots, histograms, and box plots. So I've shown you how to do it. Remember the 3 steps in order to do backward design. Identify the desired results. So from that teak, what do you want the students to be able to do? Assessment evidence. How will you know that they are understanding? And then the third, the learning plan. What are you going to do in order for the students to be able to achieve that? So I'm going to give you guys about 15 minutes and I'll walk around and help you guys with that step. Okay, great. You guys did a great job. I heard some great conversations going on about your backward design. I'm just going to call in a few people and we're going to share our backward design lessons. As people share out, I want you to think how you can help develop other background designing skills in other people. So when you hear a great idea, share out about it. Celebrate it. That's what will help us become better. If there's something that you think could be improved upon, offer support, helpful support to help improve that lesson. Because what you guys just did, that's a teak that you will use this year. So remember, these are your teaks that you can use during this lesson. So I don't mind if you borrow or steal or use these, but this is your time for you guys to share. So we're going to share out, and then I'm going to have you guys just work together to really help each other develop those skills and become experts in backward designing. Great, I loved the information you guys shared. It seems like you really understood backward designing and how you should implement that by looking at the teaks and your desired results first. I challenge you guys this year, that's what I want you to do. Before you go to teach a teak, I want you to think about what do I want my students to be able to do? How am I going to assess that they're learning? And what am I going to do to teach and instruct in order to make sure they achieve those results that I asked them to do? Okay, so you have all the skills you need to. What I want you to really make sure you're doing is you're putting all of these into place this year. Remember, the whole point of backward design is starting with the end in mind. You want to work collaboratively so that all of your students will be able to achieve greatness and achieve the desired results that we see in step 1, because that's what we want everyone to do. That is our goal. It's for everyone to achieve the desired results from the teaks that we are looking at in step 1. I can't wait to see your awesome backward designing lessons.